Hello everybody, welcome back to our energy update for the next week, January 26th to February 1st, week 5. And I've named it energetic integrity, so let's talk a little bit about what this means and how this will affect us here as energetically sensitives, empaths, and awakening people, because there are some implications that we need to put into account. But first of all, I want to thank you all for watching, for coming here live, or for watching the video live. Remember, you can ask any question here during this live stream, and I'll try to do my best to illuminate whatever the subject is in regards to energetic sensitivity. All right, so last week we looked at some of the implications of power struggle, of push-pull, and how this may affect us during the week. And as you know, here at transCODES, I work with energetically sensitives, visionary, and precognitive people from all over the world, and so this gives me a really good sort of prediction model for the coming week. Last week we did indeed deal with quite a bit of intensity. We've had lots of ups and downs that were reported here to me, and some of that actually felt really expansive, very, very beautiful, spontaneous, heart-opening, and some of it felt like almost the going through the death of the ego. And you know, it may not be surprising to you, but for some of you, this may actually have happened at the same time, maybe within a day or within a couple of days. On last Saturday, there was a lot of outer sort of collective fear coming in that could lead to restless or sleepless nights, increased nightmares, and still the continued issues with the digestive system. Those were all things that we've experienced last week, and if you had something similar happen in your life, then know that you are not alone. All right. The reason why I'm offering these free energy updates here every week is for you to get a little bit of a heads up of what the collective weather conditions are, of what is coming in from the outside. All right. It won't really prevent you from having to go through it, but it helps to reframe what is happening to you, and also perhaps to seek community, because this is one of the things that will accompany us all year in 2018, is to really go into this place of looking for like-minded people, exchanging, perhaps even asking for help, but to really go into this place of synergy and cooperation. Especially not this week, but the week after that, I'm going to talk about this a little more. But for now, I just want you to I just want to give you a little bit of an overview here, what we're dealing with this week, go into a little bit of a forecast, and then how you can work with this physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically. All right, let me know what country you are from. It's always exciting for me. And of course, don't forget to push the like button and to share these videos. I'm not monetizing them. This is a free service of transCODES energy healing and energy coaching. All right. So what is the overview? What is the general situation that we're in? So as you may have seen or perceived or experienced yourself, the year 2018 started off with, you know, like big transitory type of energies, and in energy work we tend to call them corrective energies. All right, this is something where we know that the old is being renewed, where what is no longer needed needs to be let go of, and of course this doesn't happen without resistance. So if you were one of the ones that experienced something like rock bottom last week, then understand that the purpose of going through something like this is always to get back up. All right. There is no one recipe as to how to get through a dark night of the soul, other than letting you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel and that you need to choose to shift your energy out of this. And by the way, you may have noticed this. We have a live series going on here at transCODES right now. We're calling it 21 Days, Breaking Through Your Matrix Programming. A very practical, very deep series of energy training techniques or lessons that we're sharing there with you. Jeff and I do this here every day at 1 p.m. So I just got out of day 7. If you are interested in how to get through rock bottom, then I'd strongly, strongly recommend you to go back to day 1 of breaking through some of your programming and catch up with these videos. They're like 30 to 40 minutes long, and they have a lot of very, very practical tips in there on how you can work through something. You can also be live in these sessions and comment and ask questions every day at 1 p.m. until February the 8th. And I explained last week why I'm doing this. There is a little bit of a window here, and that is kind of like this this sort of up and down window, okay, for these next still the next following 2 weeks. And that's why I came up with the idea to do a 21-day program, because this is fills exactly the gap here that we are all have to bridge, and that is how to learn to make corrections and go with the flow and adjust to outer ups and downs without falling too deep into our own irrationality or into our own sort of maybe suppressed or unprocessed stuff, because that's what leads to fragmentation. It's what leads to incongruence, and our incongruence then is basically making up our energetic shit magnets, as I call them. You know, it's the gravity that we have to go back into these like really, really low places of ourselves. And in this 21-day series, I offer a lot of very helpful practical tips on how to overcome this. But coming back to the current overview here on January 25th, we're looking at a week here where there's almost a repeat of last week. All right, so we have a few cool things happening. There's another full moon on January 31st. This is the so-called blue moon. So we had 2 full moons in January, and we also have a lunar eclipse, or we're also dealing with lunar eclipse energies, and they're coming in already. And you know, in times of lunar eclipses, not that I'm an astrologer, but I did explain in the past why I do look at lunar cycles, because they have such a strong impact on our emotions. People tend to overreact. They tend to, you know, everything seems or appears to be amplified, and so there's a little bit of a danger of going into this nervousness that we all have, and what if, and the doubts and the fears, and you know, all these things that tie us into the future and the fear of the unknown. All right, so this will be sort of the biggest challenge here this week for you. However, there's also really, really cool new energies that want to begin to manifest this new creation process, you know, like the new paradigm, you know, new values that you want to adapt into your life. And as you all know, I've developed this barometer for collective energies that I introduce every week, just to give you sort of a quick overview of what to expect as far as like the intensity is concerned. And you'll see it's not that much different from last week, a little, you know, sort of in the so type of region, and that's because it can go either way with you. It really depends on how well your energy management is and how much you've already learned to discern your personal processes from collective processes that are going on. And if we look into next week, the prediction part or the forecast part, then we won't really see a lot of actual changes. There will be this continued leadershipless political situation here for many of our countries. This is kind of like a bit of a vacuum right now. So there's a lot of distraction going on the political arena, a lot of, you know, potential betrayals, and then lost files, and then they reappear, and whistleblowers and so forth. This is very distractive. So this push-pull that I described last week is going to continue a little bit. So even more so important for you to not really get caught in all of these different things. As far as earth changes is concerned, you know this about me. I have painted a bit of a gloomy picture here for 2018, expecting earthquakes, expecting lots of storms. And I hate to say it, but around the 31st of January, you know, there is indication for fire and water related earth changes, you know, that create a little bit of chaos. All right. I'm saying it this way because I can't really contextualize entirely what I'm seeing or what these people that work with me here at transCODES are seeing. But it is not just an earthquake or a something that has to do with lava or volcano or something. There's also the water aspect that comes into this, and maybe it's a tsunami or something like that was caused by an underwater volcano. That's kind of like where this is going for me. But you guys know this, I'm from Iceland, so you know I always see volcanoes. You know, and I grew up that way. So for me, this is not really a super scary thought, but it can create quite a bit of disruption, quite a bit of chaos. And so disruption is a little bit the theme of this week. It will not really feel like a steady flow to you. There will continue to be these ups and downs, and so for you as energetically sensitives, you know, you really have to work on the balance between, you know, wanting to manifest new things and dealing with this wonderful new energy that is coming in for you, but at the same time also honoring, you know, that first of all, you know, your 3D reality always lags behind a little bit, right? It's a lot denser, and this also counts for your body. So right now, what most people experience, besides these really intense waves of energies coming in that make it almost impossible for you to sleep or to do anything, because it's this etheric buzzing, this extreme vibrating, or also heat waves, yeah, that are coming in, while at the same time, you know, you want to feel that this is something that, you know, can be enjoyed, that can be allowed. So my recommendation throughout last week was allow this to happen, get used to this. You guys as empaths and energetically sensitives, you will feel these increases in vibratory rate, in frequency, yes, that our entire planet is exposed to. You will feel this in a very literal, in a very physical sense. And this can scare you sometimes because it will also make your heart rate speed up, and so many other aspects that come in with this, that all I can really recommend you here is to stay calm, do everything that you can, you know, to balance yourself out, especially in regards to bringing you know, sort of the clearing energy of moving and exercise. And I don't think that you really have to do like a new, like big exercise program. It feels, to me, it has always felt this way, more natural to pick up something, you know, that you really like engaging in, you know, movement. I've recommended dance lessons or, you know, hiking and stuff like this in the past. So pick up something that is natural to you, you know, maybe taking your bike to work or something like that if your outer condition allows that to you, you know, just to give your body a little bit of balancing and clearing time, because then these ups and downs, they can't really grip that much with you. And this will really be the theme for the entire year of 2018. In fact, actually 2-3 more years, and that is harmonizing 3D, you know, like literally catching up with these new paradigms of perceiving ourselves and the world, and these actual increased frequencies around us. So it will more and more become instrumental for you to learn how to manage your energy better. And this is where transCODES comes in, because this is what we've been doing here for 10 years, training people how to learn their own lexicon of sensations, how to tune into new reference feelings, and beginning to understand their own energetic language better. Because as soon as you can understand your own language, then of course you become able to discern better what's yours and what isn't. All right, so this is a big one here for all year. As far as next week is concerned, you'll probably also be a little bit distracted by looking at the past and maybe re-evaluating old things. Okay, so there's a little bit of a karmic component. You may actually meet people from your past, and they'll bring in some of these things, and take this as an opportunity to compare, you know, yourselves from like maybe 20 or 30 years ago. Like I've already pointed your attention to this last week when I asked you what did you do, or how did you see life and your future, 1998. So this is still in the air, and you know, just because you are meeting or encountering those old energies coming in, don't be afraid. They're not going to pull you in, but it also doesn't mean that you have to cut them off. Okay, so some things come back to us in order to show us something. So my suggestion for you is that you use this to really look at you know, how much you've grown already, and also what you couldn't see back then. Yes, New Zealand has arrived. Hello. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing where you guys are from. That's so awesome. Yeah, so allow yourself this space to explore. This is a very practical energy tip for next week. Give yourself space to make mistakes here as you are in this transitory phase of renewal, of recreating and adjusting to new conditions. And if it helps you, this is something that I have recommended quite a bit last week to my clients. Give yourselves a time frame in which you actually allow yourselves to make mistakes, seeing every mistake as an opportunity to grow. You know, you can say, okay, all next week I'm going to, you know, use for exploring, or the next 3 months, or the next 6 months, or this whole entire year, because it will really help you to deal with some of the things that will challenge us here towards the summer time, where we go into an extreme sort of hot phase of this chaotic transition. All right, so right now is a really good time to start this new habit of giving yourself space to explore. And even if it means that you have to go back or resort to compromises in the past that you already know that didn't work out, that's all right. You know, right now it's more about adaptation or adaptation, you know, and so that you don't fall into these coping traps, you know, that make you relapse into the old. All right, so shifting your energy out of this. The energy centers affected this coming week will be primarily, and you will feel this, you know, like we've had a lot of digestive issues in the past, right? This was because we were dealing with first and second chakra issues. Now it's moving out of our root, you know, out of our first chakra into our third chakra. So we'll feel this increase of energy, and also into our fifth chakra, which now something that we've repetitively talked about, but which now really needs to come together, namely the expression of sort of the right balance, the right harmony between our willpower, you know, the force that we want to put into things, you know, where we want to put things to action and we want to make it happen, but it has to be true for us, you know, it has to be in a way that also supports our well-being, and not just on an emotional, mental, spiritual level, also on a physical level. So we're basically moving from, you know, trying to feel out what we truly want and what we truly need into how we need it, if that makes sense. And so these last weeks there was a lot of sort of mind and soul stuff going on, right? And last week was sort of the beginning of you know, like our body moving into our soul. A lot of people had issues with dealing with their physical existence and kind of wanting to check out a little bit. And what the place that we are reaching, or where we can reach this harmony, is when we really allow our physical to be part of our higher vibratory journey, our spiritual journey. Yes, Denmark, I'm seeing you. So yeah, so like coming from, you know, this deep thought and what is the purpose and all that, into okay, I can see the vision, I can see more clearly. Yes, this is what I want, but you got to tame this just a little bit. This week is going to be a bit challenging because we tend to overreact, as I introduced in the beginning. And physically, what you can expect as energetically sensitive as symptoms, always, of course, you know, with reservations, because it can express, of course, in many different ways. But things are going to move more into your head again, into your head area here, you know, eyes, ears, brain, nervous system. That's why I recommend you to do calming, you know, and perhaps on an herb level, you know, drink chamomile teas, you know, just sort of to keep you in this recovering mode, that you don't go you know, too far off into the fear again. Another thing is the guilt and shame that I feel very strong for this coming week, and so be careful, you know, with your thyroid system. If you already know that you have a sensitivity there, take good care of that. Maybe Google foods that can help you to adjust your diet, you know, to not let your thyroid go into hypo or hyper reaction, you know. And another thing that I've used here for the last couple of days that helps me a lot is to work with mint. Really mint on all levels, you know, like as a strong, very pure mint oil. I prefer the Japanese healing oil The mint version is a very, very highly concentrated mint, not peppermint, but mint. But you know, you can work with mint leaves also and chew on them, or you can drink peppermint teas, because that does the balancing for you, you know, between this incoming energy. And at the same time, you know, you don't want to like numb yourself. You want to take advantage of this, and you really want this invigoration. But at the same time, you need to balance your system a bit. And I find that mint works really well. Yes, and Courtney, mint oil applied to your forehead, 1 or 2 drops, and maybe your temples, can also help with balancing a headache. Okay, the headache comes from the 6th chakra, from our third eye chakra being really, really sort of stimulated, almost overstimulated. And a few drops of mint oil can actually help with this. Now your eyes will tear up a little bit, because if you use this pure mint oil that I talked about, then it will make everything kind of sort of come out, you know, also maybe a little bit of discharge from your nose. But this is exactly then what helps to release some of that pressure. Okay. Yeah, so on another note, you know, when it comes to the spiritual meaning of all of this, or how we can contextualize this spiritually, you know, you really got to understand that it is your attitude towards 3D that really determines your experience. You know, and not in the sense of like it's your own fault, but you know, if you resist this, I don't want to say flow, because that's kind of like a deadbeat word, but you know, if you resist the fact that life is a constant sort of, you know, up and down kind of wave, then you become too rigid, and the more rigid, the more fragmented, the more incongruent you become, the more susceptible you become to these outer collective energies. Okay? So for this week, one of the big ones, especially sort of towards the middle of next week, there'll be a lot of overreaction in the air everywhere around you. Okay? So you need to shift your attitude towards it. And this is part of the purpose why I do these energy updates. On a practical level, if you're interested in working on this, we have quite a few cool energy training sessions come up this weekend. Tomorrow, on Friday at 5 p.m., we have the free group healing called Remote Prayer. This is free for everybody in need, in assistance of in regards to physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic distress. So please feel free to register tomorrow, Friday, 5 p.m. Denver time. And then tomorrow night we have the Sacred Heart, a beautiful energy training session where we learn how to stay in our heart field and really energize that place, you know, so that we can actually begin to fully connect with our heart's navigator. And then on Saturday we have the monthly energy adjustment session with me. It's a very deep clearing and basically preparing your energy system to deal with the energies to come for the next 4 to 6 weeks. It's called Your Calling, and has to do with really identifying what you need, or what you truly want, what you truly need, and how you can accomplish, you know, the harmonization of, you know, sort of what you're doing right now and where you want to be, and how to bring all this into more congruence. The energetic adjustment session is a very special session because it can't be repeated. I'm channeling the collective energies there are life, and we're going to have a webinar right afterwards to talk about these energies that came in, the healing frequencies that are coming in for us for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and also where you guys can inquire about your personal energies, you know, like what your personal challenges are. And then we have a big a marathon, as we call them, coming up next week called the Mental Heart Fusion. 72 hours straight with 9 actual energy sessions within these 3 days. We will practice how to harmonize our left and right hemisphere, our pineal pituitary gland, and how to, merge our mental energies with our heart field, and how to actually activate our heart mind. So very, very busy here at transCODES. And just so you know, the announced cryptocurrency special workshop here for tomorrow, for Saturday, has to be moved to next week. My son is sick, and so I really won't be able to do this tomorrow. So those of you in the Sacred Self-Healing community or Sacred Self-Healing program, you will receive the invitation and the access link for that workshop at the beginning of the week. Yes. And so this really concludes here my part of this energy update. For those of you who are waiting for crypto news and don't know this yet, I've singled out the crypto news. It's its own live stream now on Facebook in 30 minutes. So if you go on Facebook and go to Crypto Spiritual, then you will see me transmitting the Crypto Spiritual news for the coming week. As always, also reflecting on past week, and with a little sort of know-how special about ICOs and how to evaluate them. Yes, thank you, Tina Marie, for your cool comment about the marathons. They are fantastic. They're extremely challenging. But this is why we call them mindfulness crash course. But, for us energetically sensitives, this is something we usually can embrace, because there's a beautiful intensity in it, lots of learning, constant interaction between us trans coaches and the individual participants, and a really beautiful feeling of community that forms within these 3 days. So go to transcodes.com, check the front page. There you will find all the sign-up links. And if you are interested in the Sacred Self-Healing program, you can join this anytime. It's $39 a month, and you receive lots of free workshops. It comes with a program of daily meditations, workbook, and discounts for many of our modalities here. Also, my last shout out for this, we have 2 spots left for our Heart Warrior program for starting February 1st. And the Heart Warrior program is a 90-day personal energy training program where we work with you in person through 3-4 energy training sessions a week, a weekly coaching session, and all sort of really adapted to your personal needs and goals. So we have 2 spots left for February, so go fast with that, because by Monday they're probably going to be gone. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Yes, thank you for your lovely comments and your encouraging words. Awesome. Have a wonderful week, regardless. I don't think it's going to be much more challenging than last week, but don't expect results yet, okay? Give yourself the space to explore and to make mistakes so that you can refine and improve. All right, see you here next week, Thursday, 2 p.m. Denver time. Until then, all the best for you. Bye-bye.